For a long time, Anne thought rejection meant she was not enough. Every unanswered message, every missed chance, every moment of being overlooked seemed to say the same thing. But one evening, while riding alone by the window as the late sunlight turned her room amber, she discovered something gentler than success and stronger than approval. Rejection was painful, yes, but it was not always there to shut her down. Sometimes it was there to return her to herself. Anne was 23 and had a quiet dream she rarely explained fully to other people. She wanted to create. Not in a loud, glamorous way, not to become famous. She simply wanted to make work that felt meaningful. Essays, illustrations, little videos, small things that could reach someone's heart. She had ideas stored in folders, half-finished drafts saved on her laptop, and a habit of imagining a future where all those small pieces would someday connect. But every time she tried to share her work, she seemed to meet a wall. A submission went unanswered. A collaboration idea was ignored. A page she posted carefully into the world received almost no response. Even among friends, she sometimes felt like the least noticeable person in the room. At first, she told herself not to take it personally. Then she started checking her phone more often. Then she started questioning everything she made. Slowly, rejection stopped feeling like a passing moment and began to feel like a mirror. And what she thought it was reflecting back to her was painful. One soft evening in early autumn, Anne sat at her desk with a small cup of tea growing cold beside her notebook. Warm golden light came through the curtains and painted the wall in pale orange shapes. The whole room seemed quiet in that late afternoon way that makes every thought feel louder. She had just received another polite refusal email. Nothing cruel, nothing dramatic. Just a few carefully chosen sentences thanking her and informing her that her work was not the right fit at this time. She had seen enough messages like that to know them almost by heart. Still, it hurt. Not because this one rejection mattered so much on its own, but because it seemed to join a whole line of old disappointments already sitting quietly inside her. She closed the laptop, pulled the notebook closer, and for several minutes she could not write anything at all. Finally, she wrote one sentence. Why does rejection hurt this much? The answer came slowly. Because I think it says something final about me. Because I want to be chosen. Because being ignored feels like disappearing. Because I have tied my courage to other people's response. She paused after that last line. It felt too honest, but also exactly right. Anne had not only wanted her work to be seen, she had wanted it to confirm something about her value. She wanted acceptance to tell her she belonged, that her instincts were right, that she was worth noticing. And because of that, every rejection was cutting deeper than it should have. It was not only refusing her work, it was disturbing the fragile place where she had been storing her self-worth. The light shifted lower. Dust moved in the air. Somewhere outside, a bicycle bell rang and passed. Anne turned the page and wrote another heading. What if rejection is redirection? She did not fully believe it yet, but she wanted to examine the possibility. Maybe it is showing me what is not mine. Maybe it is asking me to build without applause. Maybe it is teaching me to love the work before I love the reaction. Maybe it is returning me to the reason I began. Maybe it is helping me stop performing. That last word stayed with her. Performing. How much of her creativity had become tangled with wanting approval? How often had she changed her instincts, softened her voice, doubted her own sense of beauty, simply because she feared not being accepted? And in that quiet room, with the notebook open and the evening growing deeper, she realized something important. Rejection had not only been hurting her, it had been clarifying her. It was showing her where she had abandoned herself. So that night, instead of sending out more things into the world and waiting anxiously to be chosen, Anne made a different decision. She wrote one page for herself. Not for an audience, not for a response. Just one honest page about something real she had felt lately and never said out loud. The next day, she did it again. Soon, the notebook began filling with small pieces of true work. Gentle writing, tiny observations, sketches, fragments of memory. thoughts she had previously dismissed for being too quiet or too ordinary. And strangely, those pieces felt more alive than anything she had produced while trying to impress. For the first time in months, she was not creating from hunger. She was creating from return. A few weeks later, she started sharing again, but differently. Less begging, less performing, less shaping herself to fit imagined expectations. She shared only what felt honest and let the response be what it would be. Some things were still ignored, but now they did not wound her in the same way, because her roots had shifted. She was no longer asking every response to answer the question of whether she mattered. She was learning to let the work stand quietly on its own, to let herself stand quietly on her own. And in that shift, rejection lost much of its old power. It still stung sometimes, but it no longer got to decide who she was. Rejection hurts most when you ask it to explain your value, but it cannot do that. It can only tell you that one person, one room, one moment, one opportunity did not open. That is all. The rest, the meaning, the wound, the identity, you often add yourself. And sometimes life closes certain doors not to humiliate you, but to pull you away from a version of yourself that was becoming too dependent on being chosen. Not everything that rejects you is rejecting your worth. Some things are simply not your place. Some rooms cannot hear your voice clearly. Some paths only open after you stop knocking where you do not belong. So when the door stays shut, do not disappear. Return to your notebook. Return to your work. Return to yourself. If you needed this today, write, "Rejection will not define me." Subscribe for more quiet, heartfelt life lessons told through soft story moments.